someone who I'm proud to call a friend. He was in the Marines. He was in Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times. In 2009, he resigned from his position at the State Department in Afghanistan due to the escalation of the war under Obama. He has worked tirelessly to inform people about war and the U.S. empire and help veterans who have been traumatized. And I thought this now would be the perfect time to have him on to talk about genocide, against this genocide. But anyway, please welcome Matthew Hill. Hello.
Hey Lee, how you doing?
Hey Matt, it's good to talk to you, even though not for a lighthearted topic, but I hope you're doing well otherwise.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on. It's good to see you. I hope everything is well with you and the family.
Thank you so much. I've been talking about this genocide just about every day on these live streams since day one, and we're at day 150, but I haven't gotten a military take on Israel's actions. Israel wants to claim that this is still some sort of war, that they're targeting Hamas, and I was wondering if you could speak to that.
Well, there's certainly, I don't think there's ever much doubt in what the outcome would be as long as Israel were allowed to do what they wanted, and as long as they were resupplied in the manner that they have been. Every day, unless this has changed, I haven't seen it, but the numbers are that every day, 3 C-17s full of bombs, missiles, rockets, shells land in Israel from the U.S., resupplying the Israeli military. Every third or fourth day, a cargo ship shows up, right? You've all seen how big those cargo ships are. It shows up in Israel and provides military support from the U.S. So as long as that was going to happen, the reality that we're witnessing, this complete destruction of Gaza, right? The destruction of everything there, all its infrastructure, its society, which is, as we know, right, is a key part of genocide. Genocide is just not about killing off the people. It's killing off their entire ecosystem. It's killing off their society. It's killing off any way to inhabit that land ever again. But it's also killing off who the people are. And so this is why the Israelis have been so insistent on destroying all the universities, right? On killing poets and professors and teachers, right? Make sure that the history of the people, who the people know themselves as, make sure that's destroyed.
Blowing up ancient mosques and churches and cemeteries. Yeah.
Right. We can't even, Lee, it's so comprehensive, the destruction. We can't even remember it all. Right? I mean, we stumble over ourselves trying to remember all that the Israelis have done, let alone trying to order it and present it in a coherent manner, because it has just been so all-encompassing. But the military assault in Gaza, I think, has gone the way I think most of us expected. If Hamas had hoped to bog Israel down and cause them humiliating losses, that really hasn't occurred. The Israelis have moved at their pace through Gaza, slowly, deliberately, methodically. They've lost a few hundred soldiers in the ground fighting, which is a lot for Israel over the last 20 some odd years, particularly since their evacuation or their retreat from Lebanon, the first part of the century. But the idea, though, that there was going to be anything other than this on a tactical military level. I mean, this is as Andy Basovich says, Ohio State playing Bowling Green. It's 63-7. What do you expect was going to happen? But of course, that's not the reality. That's not the whole. That's not the whole aspect of war. That's just a totality of it. And so you can say that Israel has had this tactical success. You can say it's an operational success in the sense of eradicating, destroying Gaza, making the land uninhabitable, pursuing this path of ethnic cleansing. Yeah, they've been pretty successful with that so far. But on a strategic level, on a political level, how successful have they been? And that's what matters, right? Because if you are able to go and eradicate 2% of the population, chase as many as you can out of Gaza, make the land unhandleable, punish them, it doesn't do anything in terms of the strategic consequences. If anything, it's making things much worse for Israel. If anyone thinks that anything is going to come out of this other than a Hamas 2.0 or Hamas with a different name, that somehow this genocide, this collective punishment, this organized murder is going to do anything other than embolden Palestinian resistance towards Israeli occupation, I just don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is what's going to come from it. So the idea that long term, that this is somehow going to be better for Israel in terms of its security and stability, let alone economically and politically, as they continue to be isolated from the world, But Israel's whole card is that they have control of the American political system through the Israeli lobby. And then as long as they have the Americans, and in particular the world's reserve currency backing them, they can say to hell with the world. And if you watch the Israelis as they deal with the world, and if you did like I did, watch the Israeli ambassador at the UN today, this is essentially what they're doing. The Israeli ambassador today at the UN called the UN a bunch of people who are allying with terrorists and perverts and rapists, and he condemns the entire UN, essentially calls for its closure, its destruction. I mean, these are people who are setting up Fortress Israel to entrench themselves with the idea that as long as we have the US behind us, we don't need anyone else. We can do whatever we want. We can withstand any degree of isolation from the world. And this is the best opportunity we're ever going to have to pursue this goal of greater Israel, this 120-year-old goal of greater Israel. So now's the opportune time to get it. But, again, the strategic and political consequences, I think they're far outweigh whatever type of short-term benefits Israel is getting, whether in terms of like the destruction of Gaza or this goal of greater Israel, which would include then the annexation of the West Bank and potentially what we're seeing from the Israelis, Lee, lots of commentary about going into Lebanon next, right? This pushing of greater Israel up to, say, the Litani River, so about 20 miles into Lebanon or so. So the madmen who are orchestrating all this, the pursuit of whether it's a militarist nationalism or religious nationalism in Israel is, bringing about things that could essentially doom Israel in 5, 10, 20 years' time.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think Israel has destroyed any support they had from your average, your average kind of low information person who was not, they're like, oh, sure, I support Israel. Most of the world is now seeing this as a horrifying apartheid experiment at minimum. Thank you so much. It's really great to speak to you again. And just thank you for all your work. What's the website I can give people to follow your work?
Yeah, so my organization's Eisenhower Media Network, and just Google Eisenhower Media Network, and then I'm on Twitter at Matthew P. Ho, P as in Patrick.
Thanks again, and be well.
All right, thanks, Lee.
Absolutely.